I always assumed that nothing like this would ever happen, at least not to me. So imagine my surprise that evening when my wife of almost 20 years said to me over dinner, "Honey, we need to talk." My heart jumped into my throat, and I immediately tensed up, preparing for the worst. Has she really cheated on me? Did she want a divorce? What could it be? Where did we go wrong? I stared at her across the dining table, my hands shaking. "Should I talk?" I asked, trying my best to speak calmly. "Talk about what?" "Well, first of all, I want to tell you that I love you," she said, and took a sip of wine, as if she wanted to calm her nerves. I noticed that she hardly ate anything. I stared at her, trying to analyze her movements, her facial expression, anything that would give me any clue as to what was about to happen. I couldn't stand the tension for long and blurted out, "Have you cheated on me, Maggie?" Her face twitched, and she looked at me with big, surprised eyes. "No, of course not," she replied. "I would never cheat on you." Although the way she emphasized the word cheating made me nervous, I seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Well, if this is not treason, then what is it? "Are you leaving me?" I asked, fearing the worst. "Oh God, George," she said. "Where do you get such thoughts? Of course I won't leave you. I love you." "Okay," I replied. "I love you too. I plan to grow old with you and spend the rest of our lives together." Maggie's eyes lit up and she smiled warmly at me. "Me too, George." "Then what's the matter? Are you feeling unwell?" I asked, becoming increasingly concerned about Maggie's health. "I'm fine, honey," she assured me. "I didn't want to scare you, but it seems to me that something has been wrong between us for a long time. Now that Meredith has left for college, things look different. Maybe it's empty nest syndrome or midlife crisis or something, but we seem to be stuck in a bit of a rut." I felt myself relax a little, but I still felt anxious, wondering what the hell was bothering Maggie. "Rut? How so?" I asked. "Well, we spend so much time at work that we don't have much time for each other. Your job often takes you out of town, but my job often keeps me in the office late. When we don't work, we both get tired. When was the last time we had sex? When was the last time we had sex?" I repeated her question. Honestly, I couldn't remember the last time it happened. Maggie hasn't wanted to have sex for a long time. It's been a while, but every time I start something even remotely sexual, you shut me down. You always have one excuse or another. "That's right," Maggie agreed. "I know. I usually get damn tired when you want to frolic, but when we were young, we didn't care whether we were tired or not. We had sex 3 or 4 times a week. Now this happens once every 3 to 4 months. "If that's true," I answered, agreeing with her. "And what?" Irritation was growing inside me. It sounded like she was blaming me for the lack of sex when she always said no. If it were up to me, we would do this often. "And I want to get out of this rut we're in," she said. "I want to settle everything between us so that we can stay together for the rest of our lives. We're bored, George. We need to stop being bored." "I'm not bored," I said. "There is a lot of excitement in my life." "Excitement? Really? What are you going to do tonight?" she asked with a wry smile. "Watch The Curse of Oak Island. They say they'll make a big discovery tonight," I replied, mulling over her words. "Don't they say that every week they find only dirt and pieces of wood?" "Well, yes," I admitted. "More or less. Like I said," she grinned. "Boring." "Okay. It's not boring. It's comfortable. It's convenient for us. This is what happens when you've been married as long as we have. Make yourself comfortable." "I don't need comfort," Maggie explained. "Honestly, I have as little interest in sex with you as you have with me. It's simply where we are in our lives. We've lost the spark, and that worries me. We are already over 40. We still have many years ahead of us. I'm afraid that if we've already lost that romantic interest in each other, what will we have left in a few years? How can we stay together? We will stay together because we are husband and wife. This is what husbands and wives do. We are used to each other. We are comfortable. And who said that I'm not interested in sex with you? Of course I'm interested. We became roommates, George. Pleasant roommates. I think we are more than neighbors. I mean, we have sex from time to time and love each other. So we're roommates with infrequent benefits. Yes, I love you, George, and I know that you love me. But can you honestly tell me that you still love me the same way you did when we got married in the Stone Age? This is completely different, I tried to explain, like good wine. Over the years, our love has matured and softened. We've gotten older, and our libidos aren't as active as they used to be. Don't you want to feel the excitement and thrill of chemistry again like before? She said, taking my hand. I don't know, Maggie, but I like the way things are now. I mean, sure, I'd like to have sex more often, but I like coming home and hanging out with you, calm and peaceful. We've worked a long time to get to where we are. It's like that damn hammock in the backyard. It has been there for almost 20 years. Every year I told myself that soon I would be able to just lie down, relax, and read a book. Well, now that I'm finally about to lie down in this thing, you tell me you want to get rid of the hammock. Maggie stared at me, considering my words, then shook her head. I don't understand this, but I'm not asking you to give up anything, dear. I'm saying that I think we need to rekindle our romance, spice up our love life before it's too late. My libido isn't dead, it's just dormant. I want to feel the way we felt when we had sex, when it was new and fresh and exciting, like we couldn't get enough of it or each other. So, you're saying that our sex is no longer satisfying? No, I'm not saying that at all. You are a wonderful, caring, and talented lover when we have sex. You always know how to please me. The problem is not that our sex is bad, but that we never want to have it. What are you saying? I asked. I'm confused. I say I want more. I feel like we are no longer lovers. We are just partners. I want to feel your love again. I want to feel that I love you again. I want passion. I want wishes. I want romance. I want sex. I thought you said you didn't want sex. Do you want it or not? I want to have sex. You seem to want to be young again. Are you sure it's not your hormones? Do you have hot flashes? Don't do this, George. Don't simplify my feelings and don't make me a woman with hormonal problems. Every time I get upset, I'm not PMSing, and just because I want to rekindle our love doesn't mean I'm going through menopause. Sorry, you're right. It was insensitive. I'm just trying to understand where all of this suddenly came from. Darling, this is not so unexpected. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm afraid that unless we do something drastic to restart our relationship, our marriage won't survive. It looked like she was about to cry. I heard what she said. To be honest, she sounded like she was on autopilot. Well, if it's not sudden, I asked angrily, then why are you talking about it just now? Why didn't you try to talk to me about this before? It took me a long time to get to this point, she explained, but I'm talking about it now. I didn't want it to continue to fester. Maybe there was something in what she said. I loved Maggie and was willing to do anything to make her happy and improve our relationship. Okay, I'm listening. I can tell you've thought about this a lot and it's important to you. What do you want to do? Maybe we should go see a marriage counselor? I read about someone called the intimacy coach. Should I try to find it? That's a great idea, she said with a smile, wiping a tear from her cheek. Thanks for the offer. I think we should try it. But I was thinking about other things we could do. For example, well, first let me ask you something. Your company is a creative agency, right? You keep telling me that you are one of the best in the business. Yes, we are one of the top 2 in the state, and maybe one of the top 5 in the country. Why? What does this have to do with our personal lives? Do you hire the best people? Of course, yes. And how many of these people have been working in your company for, say, 20 years? Nobody. The company has only existed for 6 years. We are constantly attracting new talent. Our industry has a lot of turnover. Right. So you're always acquiring new talents, new ideas, new ways of doing things. Yes, we are very inventive. We have an ever-evolving way of working. And people always bring new skills and new energy, making things better for everyone. Yes, that's absolutely right. Where are you going with all this? George, Next month it will be 20 years since we got married. Before that, we dated exclusively for 3 years. In all this time, I have never cheated on you. And as far as I know, you have never cheated on me. This means that for almost 23 years, we only had sex with each other. You were my first, and from what you told me, you only had 2 girlfriends before me. Right, I said, starting to worry again about where this would lead. My stomach was churning. And what? Well, would you hire a person to work for your company if he learned his skills 23 years ago and didn't take any lessons, didn't have any new ideas or new education? Would you like your employees to practice something you only do once every few months? Would your company be the best if everyone didn't try to be the best and constantly rise to new and higher levels? What? Of course not, but it's completely different. This is work. We are talking about ourselves. What exactly do you mean by this? I want to say that 23 years ago we had advanced skills. We had great sex. We did this all the time. It was new and fun. It was exciting. Well, then Meredith came along and we changed. We became parents, then professionals, then soccer moms and basketball coaches. We developed our skills as parents and in our careers, but we did nothing to develop our skills with each other. We continued to do everything the same, conveniently as always. Just as we learned 23 years ago, it became stale. The novelty is worn off. We got bored. It became a routine. We've lost the spark. What are you saying, Maggie? I'm saying I don't need comfort, George. I hate comfort. I'm sick of comfort. I want something new. I want excitement. I want to learn new skills and become a better lover. I want to use this to reignite the fire between us, to turn our boring, comfortable life on its head. I want to fall in love again. I need a lover, not a roommate. I want to feel the passion again. I need it. Okay, I muttered. I was shaking all over. I don't know if it was from excitement or adrenaline. Maybe it was my struggle or my flight defense going into overdrive. I will do everything in my power to give you passion. We can have date nights and do whatever you want. I won't watch TV as much, and we can have a hobby or something we can do together. We can travel more. You always love to travel, so why don't we go somewhere every month, even if it's just a night at a hotel in one of the new trendy areas of the city? Maggie took my hand in hers and kissed it, then shook her head. George, I know you would move a mountain for me if you could. I know you think these things will help, but at the end of the day, we are still the ones doing them. We are still the same. Nothing will change, and soon we will get bored of it too. These ideas are a good step, but they are still too convenient. We don't learn or experience anything new. So, what are you talking about? I followed you, but now you're losing me. What do you suggest we do? Go to a resort with opening pairs? Oh God, no, she said with disgust. I could never go to such a place. I couldn't handle people trying to get us to join them for casual sex. No, nothing like that. What then? I asked, getting more and more upset. Well, I think we need a bit of a head-scratcher, a reset of sorts, something new and exciting that will give our romance a boost and put the spark back into our sex life. At this point, I was ready to accept almost anything she offered. Sounds great. I'm all for it. How would you do it? I think I should start dating others. Anything but this. Wow, 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 I said, removing my hands from my wife and looking at her with furrowed brows. Repeat again. I think I didn't hear you. I said I need to start dating others. Yes, fine. Turns out I heard it right the first time, I said, leaning back in my chair at the kitchen table. Then I leaned forward and looked at my wife as if she had lost her mind. Are you crazy? She seemed surprised by my reaction. No, not at all. I've thought about this a lot. I think this is what we need. Maggie, you've come up with some crazy ideas before, but this is too much. I don't think it's crazy, George. You will understand, too, if you allow me to explain my reasons. Yes, please explain. Explain how you want to improve our relationship and ignite a spark in our sex life by cheating on me. George, I'm not going to cheat on you, she said. That's not what I'm suggesting. Do you want to date other men? Like other men? Besides me? Yes, that's absolutely right. Like a real romantic date? Yes, that's the point. And a real date? like you would have with someone if we weren't married? I didn't think about it in those terms, but yes, it is. A real date. So, will he have sex with you on the first date? Or will you make him wait until the fifth, like you did with me? George, I didn't say anything about sex. Yes, but you said a real date, as if you were single. But on real dates, people have sex. So what you're saying is that sex is completely off your dating list. Well, no, I'm not saying that. So you want sex with someone else? I didn't say that either. I just want to say that I would be open to seeing where dating goes and how relationships progress. Relationship? So not only do you want to date some guy or guys, you want to have sex with them and develop a relationship with them. You're only twisting around to point out what you want to point out, George. Yes or no, Maggie, would you ever have sex with your boyfriends? She hesitated. It's not something black and white. Yes or no? Yes, probably so. Then this is treason. No, that's not true. How the hell do you think this isn't cheating? You meet some guy, have a romantic date with him, and have sex. This is treason. I was furious. I was quickly losing my self-control. Things could have gone very badly if I wasn't careful. Maggie tried to pull herself together and remain calm. This irritated her whenever I lost my temper. It was as if she was trying to show me that she was more civilized than me. It won't be treason, she reasoned, because you will give me your consent and approval, and you will know everything about who I was with and what I did. We'll share all the details after I get home. About! God! God! I shouted, emphasizing every word. You not only want to cheat on me, but you also want to completely cuckold me. What the hell makes you think I would ever agree to you dating or having sex with someone else? What came into your head that made you lose all grasp of reality? Do you really think I'll agree to this? George, please try to remain calm so we can talk. There is no need to shout, and there is no need to be vulgar. Please. I stared at her. Did you really think that I would agree? I knew it would be hard for you to accept, but you love me and you are a reasonable person. You're a smart guy. I assumed and still believe that you will calm down, understand the logic of what is happening, and agree to support me. To support you? Yes. While you're having sex with other men? George, it's not about having sex with other men. If I just wanted this, believe me, I could do this for years with many men. Hell, I could do this with your brother, your best friends, and your boss. They all pestered me many times, but I didn't. I would never cheat on you. I would never do that to you. But you propose to do it right now. No, honey, she tried to correct me. This is not a hoax. This is not for me. This is for us. It will bring us excitement, fun, and new adventures. Our sex life will come alive again. I will live again. You will feel it and become part of it. Are we doing this together? What? Do you want me to go on dates with you? Well, no. I meant figuratively, not literally. You will sit at home and wait for me to go on a date. And then, when I get home, I'll tell you everything down to the smallest detail. I assume you want me to have sex with you after someone? She literally blushed. I couldn't believe it, but she really wanted me to do it. Well, I mean, that would be the best way to show me your love. It'll be a cold day in hell before I ever do this, I told her in an icy tone. Okay, we can skip this part, she suggested. If you don't want to ruin our marriage, you'll miss more than just this. This will not destroy our marriage. You are making love to another man, period. This won't be love, George. I'll save this for you. I love you. I do not love him. It will just be sex. Just sex? Yeah, just sex. I looked at her silently for several seconds. What does this even mean? This means that I won't have any feelings for him, and he won't have any feelings for me either. We only want to explore each other sexually. Nothing more. Just sex, I repeated, thinking about her words. Yes. So, let me make sure I understand everything. Okay, take your time. You just want sex with another man, I said slowly. For that matter, yes, she confirmed. So why? Why do you want to just have sex with someone else? She didn't have a ready answer. Probably, for a change, try something different. And that means that I'm not enough for you. This means that I am not giving you what you need sexually. You are not satisfied with sex with me and want to try to find someone better. Wait, no! Maggie exclaimed. It's not like that at all. I love sex with you. You are a great lover. I don't want anyone better. If this were true, I explained judiciously, then you wouldn't be looking for someone else. The only reason you want sex with someone else, if it's just sex, is for an upgrade, to find someone better than what you have. That's not true at all, she objected, without supporting her statement. Oh, of course, I objected. Think about it. If you love sushi and you find the best sushi place in the world, and that sushi place is next door, there are 20 other sushi places in the city. Why would you waste your time trying 20 other places when you already have the best sushi right here? She thought for a few seconds, then answered, probably to try other sushi. But why? If you know this place is the best, would you like to go somewhere where you know it won't be as good or satisfy you as it should? I asked rhetorically and continued. Of course not. You would only try other places if part of you thought that it could be better, that in some way one of the other places could be better than the one you love. I really don't understand, she said, looking a little unhappy. If it's just sex, then why would you want to have it with someone else? If you're satisfied with our sex life, if I satisfy you, then if all you want is just sex, why not just have sex with me? We rarely have sex. So if you just want more sex, then we can have sex more often. But no, you'd rather do it with someone else who might be better but might be worse. Obviously, you want to do this with someone else because it's not just sex, or you're not satisfied with sex with me. Do you think he can be better? I don't know, she answered confusedly. You confuse me, but that's not true. Okay, so it's just sex, right? Yes. How many times must I repeat this? Yes. It's just sex. Okay, if this is true, then I have a solution. I grinned. She seemed to perk up, and a spark of hope flashed in her eyes. Which? If you only want sex, then I'm ready to let you have it. She seemed stunned. Will you allow it? Yes. I will find a man and hire him to come here and have sex with you, I said. He will be an expert at pleasing women. I'll take one and a health certificate so he can do it without a condom. Then you can have your own simple sex. Are you crazy? Because it's just sex, I retorted. If it's just sex, then who it is shouldn't matter. In fact, this is a much better option. Since he is a random person, you will not have the slightest chance of recognizing him. You'll get your sex. This way, you can't risk physical intimacy leading to unexpected feelings. You talk about me as a lecher. I don't want to have sex with some unknown guy. I need some kind of connection with this person. I'm not just a piece of meat. Exactly, I grinnied. This means that it's not just about sex. You don't just want sex, you want more. You want sex with a specific person because you have some chemistry with them. Her face turned red again, and she couldn't answer. Finally, she answered, Okay, maybe that's partly true, but that doesn't mean anything. I couldn't help but laugh. What? This means nothing. To whom does this mean nothing? For me? For him? We know it's just a sexy thing. He knows that I love you and is not looking for such a relationship. Do you really believe that this means nothing to you? I know. Then, if it doesn't mean anything, why do it? Huh? Maggie, your words don't make any sense. Why would you do something if you know it doesn't mean anything? If it doesn't mean anything, then you don't want to do it. You want to do this to him precisely because it actually means something. She put her head in her hands and moaned, This definitely doesn't mean anything. This means it to me. You know very well that sex is the highest form of intimacy. When we got married, we agreed to only have this level of intimacy with each other. You want to throw it away so you can experiment with someone else. You want to explore that intimacy with someone you have a connection with other than me. You are not satisfied with this intimacy with me, and our sex life does not satisfy you. So you want an update. No, that's not the point, she said. So you're hoping to have sex with him to make sure he's not as good as me? She just looked at me. "Of course not," I said sharply. "You wouldn't go into this if you thought it could be the same or worse than me. You only want to do this because you hope, no, because you already suspect that it will be much better than what we have. You're already thinking about how good this could be." "I don't know," she shouted. "I never thought about it in this way. You completely confused me. What happens when you finish and come to my house after he's done better than me? Have you thought about this?" I, she began, but hesitated. "I never thought about it." "What do you mean?" "I mean, how can you expect your feelings for me to be the same after you had the best sex with someone else? You claim you're doing this to spice up our sex life. But if he's better than me, you'll never want to have sex with me again. You'll want to take it with you. You will miss him. And what's worse is that I'll know you want him when you're with me from time to time. How can we continue?" "We will continue as before." "How can I continue like this, Maggie?" "What do you mean?" "How can I continue like this, knowing that I don't satisfy you enough to keep you at home? How can I kiss you knowing that another man kissed you and you liked it more than kissing me? How can I touch you knowing that you love his touch more than mine? How could I ever have sex with you again, knowing that you like someone else more than me?" She stared at me silently. "How can I make love to you again if all this time I know that you are thinking about him? If sex with him is better than sex with me, how can you be satisfied with me again? You will think about him, desire him. I didn't marry you to play second fiddle to someone else." She shook her head. "But it won't be like that. If this is not so, then why? You want this because you think it will be mind-blowing, amazing sex, unlike anything you've ever done with me. If not, you won't even think about it." When she didn't answer, I continued. "And you know what's the worst thing? There is no way I can win in this situation. I adore you and find you incredibly beautiful. I only ever wanted sex with you. I love to please you. I thought we had mind-blowing sex. I thought we were good together, and we often wanted this, but you closed us. It doesn't matter how good or bad we are together. You have this mental image of how good it will be with him. The excitement of something new, the naughtiness of having sex with someone else, taking risks, all contribute to your arousal. If we gave you the same pleasure, you would still come to your senses, thinking that you would be better off with him. Even if he's not as good, you might still think he's better. I can't compete. He wins no matter what." She stared at me, unable to say a word. I was beside myself, with rage. "Who the hell filled your head with all this nonsense?" "George, please." "Maggie, fuck off." "George!" "No, I'm serious, back off. This is complete nonsense. I will never agree for you to date anyone. There's no way in hell I'm going to sit at home and wait for you to finish having fun with your lover. And if you ever thought that I would be a cuckold and let someone have sex with you, then you are not the same woman I married 20 years ago. You're some crazy woman who just left her marriage." She was shocked to the core. I had never said anything so harsh to her before. "George, you're overreacting," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "No, that's not true," I answered calmly, my voice as hard as ice. "You react too weakly. Get out of my house. I don't want you here anymore. You're right, we won't last long. We won't live to see 20 years. Now we're done. The fact that you even proposed such a stupid idea tells me that you have already deceived your mind and heart, if not your body. You move on, so off you go. Leave now." "I'm not going anywhere," she said defiantly. "This is ridiculous. I live here. I am your wife. We live here. You can't tell me where I might be. Now calm down and let's discuss this like adults." Okay then. Stay here." I grabbed my keys and wallet from the counter and headed through the kitchen to the garage. "Where are you going?" she asked in despair. She cried, looking at me in shock. "Anywhere, but not here. It stinks here. Please don't go, George. Talk to me. We can get through this." I stopped and looked at her. "I'll give you one chance to stop me. I will stay if you swear to me that you will never talk about this idea or anything like it again, that you will never date another man, that you will never share a bed with anyone but me, that you will remain faithful and devoted to me for the rest of our lives, as we vowed at our wedding. Not only would you never suggest it, but you would never want to do it." She stared at me. I saw the turmoil in her head, the internal struggle. She was furious and on the verge of a breakdown. "George, please, I think this might help us." "So, no," I said, turning and opening the garage door. Maggie screamed for me to stay. "Wait, please, I promise. I swear. I won't talk about it anymore, just please don't go." I turned around again. There was something else I needed to say. "I don't know who put you up to it and filled your head with all this nonsense, but I'll find out. If I find out that you have already dated him or that you have already had sex with him, I will divorce you. That's for damn sure." "We're not dating, George. We didn't do anything. But we exist. Fine. Go have some fun with your boyfriend. You've probably already done this. And no, I swear. If you want to somehow salvage what's left of our marriage, you better not lie to me. No more secrets, no more lies, no more cheating. Not at all, George. I swear we were just talking about this. You were talking to another man about having sex with him. So, this whole conversation, this whole ambush, all of this proves my point. Your request was not just for sex, which means nothing. You want me to agree to let you have sex with a specific guy you've already planned everything with." "You disgust me," I told her, which made her cry even harder. "I can't look at you right now. Sorry, George, I didn't think you'd take it that way. He told me that at first you may be upset, but then you will come to your senses." "Disappointed?" "Who the hell is he?" She hesitated again. I looked at the open garage door. "Without telling me everything, you prefer him to me." "Stephen," she said. "Stephen Archer. The consultant you've been working with for the last few months? The guy you introduced to me at Houlihan's dinner party?" "Yes, that's him." We worked closely and started talking. I needed to sit down. I closed the door, returned to the table, and sat down opposite Maggie. "Tell me everything," I asked. "All?" she asked. "Yes. I want to know everything you said, everything you did, and everything you know about this asshole." She nodded. "Can I sit down?" "This is still your home," I said. She nodded again and sat down, then proceeded to tell me what had brought us to this point. I spent the next 2 hours listening to my wife talk about Stephen Archer and his seduction. This has been going on for several months now. He began to slowly, subtly work to brainwash my wife into accepting his point of view. He never pushed too hard or tried to do anything too explicit, knowing that she was smart enough to know if he did. Until now, according to her, they had only talked. She never even kissed him. This was part of his plan. Without making any overt attempts to achieve physical contact, she believed his motives were pure. He was going to wait until I agreed to make my move. By the time she finished her story, I was convinced of two things. My marriage was likely over even if she never spoke to Stephen again, and Stephen had to pay for what he was doing. I needed a plan to deal with both, but I didn't know what to do about either. I needed to buy time. "Are you still mad at me?" asked Maggie. "Maggie, I don't know what I feel," I told her. "It's not easy to put into words. A big part of me is hurt and angry that you think so little about our marriage to even consider what Stephen suggested. If you wanted to spice up our sex life, then this is not the answer. There are at least 100 other things you could try first, like not turning me down every time I try to be naughty." Maggie lowered her eyes and looked sad. I sighed. "The other part of me sympathizes with the fact that you were fooled by a clever manipulator who played you. So this part of me wants to consider you innocent and resume our lives." "I would really like that," Maggie replied, smiling at me. "Can we do this and forget I even brought this up?" "No, we can't," I answered honestly. "There's a part of me that still wants to leave and never see you again. I may eventually be able to get over your betrayal, but it will take time and effort on your part." Maggie nodded, then asked, "Is there any part that even considered the idea as sexy or funny?" "Oh my God, Maggie!" I shouted. "Are you seriously asking me this after everything I said?" "I'm sorry," she said, lowering her eyes in shame. "I'm sorry. So what happens now?" "Honestly, I don't know," I answered. "I need time to think about what I want to do with this. The fact that you're still considering doing this tells me a lot about you. I'm really sorry. Please tell me you still don't want to get a divorce. I don't know shit, but I guess it's up to you, really, I replied. If I find out that you lied to me, I will divorce you. If you don't give Steven complete closure, I will divorce you. He's going to ask about it. What should I tell him? You have to understand what you are going to tell him. Do you talk to him when you are not at work? Call, text, communicate on the computer? No, just a little, she explained. We mostly talk only at work. Steven made it a rule not to interact with each other except in the office. However, I know that Steven will ask about it first thing tomorrow. I do not know what to say. Should I tell him to forget about all this and never think about it again? Of course you should, I said, thinking about what I could do to get back at the man who wanted to seduce my wife. He is married? I asked. Maggie nodded. Yes, she said quietly. A few months ago, their second child was born. Oh my God, Maggie! I exclaimed. He just had a baby and you were going to have sex with him? What about his wife and their family? Have you thought about them at all? He told me she didn't mind him fooling around. They have an open marriage. And you believed him? She blushed. I saw that she began to understand how stupid she had been. Yes, I guess I wanted to believe him. Now I know how stupid that is. Maggie, I said, looking at her intently. If we want to save our marriage, you must be on my team. You must take my side, no matter what I do, no matter what I tell you. If you hesitate or take his side, then forget about it. We can get a divorce and end our marriage. I'm on your team, honey, Maggie assured me. I swear, you and our daughter are all that matter to me. Wait here, I said, standing up and taking out my laptop. I brought it over and opened it as I sat down next to my wife. Have you ever looked at his Facebook page? I asked. Yes, several times, but he doesn't use social networks often, she explained. I pushed the laptop towards her and asked her to find its page. She tapped the keys a little, then said, Here he is. Very little information was available to the public. There was no relationship status, no family photos, or even a link to his wife on Steven's profile. I went to LinkedIn, searched for Steve Archer, and hit the jackpot. He was much more outspoken there than on Facebook. Do you know the name of his wife? I asked. Janet, Maggie answered. I did a quick search for Janet Archer and found two. Do you know if she is a realtor or a recruiter? He told me she runs a luxury real estate agency that specializes in multi-million-dollar homes, Maggie replied. I clicked on the realtor link. Her profile opened and the beautiful young blonde smiled back at us. That's her? I asked, looking at the hot wife of my middle-aged wife's future lover. I don't think so, Maggie answered. I've never seen her photograph. But this doesn't look like the woman he described to me. He told me she was old, fat, and unattractive. I giggled. Of course he did it. This Janet Archer was young, in great shape, and stunningly beautiful. I opened her Facebook page. Well, I said. According to her public profile, she has a husband named Steve and two daughters, Selena and Catherine. Sounds familiar? Yes, Maggie answered, looking at the photographs of the woman. These are the names of Steven's daughter. I scrolled down and found a ton of photos of the happy family. Some of the latter appeared to be from a youth cheerleading competition. It showed the lovely Janet with her daughters, and Steve stood next to them, smiling at the camera. Maggie gasped. It is he? Don't be offended, Maggie, I said, pulling out several photographs of Steve and his wife. Why would he go to all this trouble to sleep with you when he has such a hot woman at home? She looked offended. Fine. I don't know, she said. She looked like she was about to cry again. This is not at all what he told me about her. You said they have an open marriage, right? I asked. That's exactly what he told me, Maggie answered, not too confidently. I found some pictures of Janet in a bikini and whistled. Maybe I overreacted, I said, looking at Janet Archer's beautiful face. Maybe I'm looking at all this wrong. What do you mean? Asked Maggie. Do you have his mobile number? I asked. Maggie stared at me nervously. You're not going to call him, are you? Well, I answered. This is true. Maggie looked stunned. I cannot do it. Wait, you said you were on my team. I said you should support me no matter what I do, right? She nodded. Yes, that's absolutely right. So, are you on my team or not? Yes, she admitted. Okay, I said. Then call him. Okay, I'll do that. Maggie agreed, but hesitated. Before I do this, may I ask why? I smiled. Well, Stephen wants to get my wife, right? Maggie nodded. Well, if I let him have you, isn't it fair that I get his wife? Wait, what? Maggie exclaimed. Do you want to seduce his wife? Well, look at her, I said, pointing to a photo of Janet Archer in a very skimpy bikini. She's damn hot. This should never happen, Maggie said. I laughed. You said you wanted to spice up our sex life, right? Yes, Maggie said, crossing her arms over her chest. I did so. And you were going to revive her by having fun with Stephen, I explained. Well, wouldn't it be even more interesting if I also had sex with his wife? After all, you said it yourself that they have an open marriage. Yes, but, Maggie muttered, it's not that you had sex with some slut. Oh, wait, I said, grinning. Is she a slut? What makes her like this? She is married to Stephen and can sleep with other men. You're married to me, and you want to be allowed to sleep with other men. By this definition, doesn't that make you want to be a slut? Maggie stared at me. No, it's not the same thing. Why not? I asked. How is this different? For that matter, how are me and Janet different from you and Stephen? She's too pretty, Maggie said. So it's okay if I choose someone ugly? I asked. No, that's not what I meant, Maggie replied, looking almost defeated. It's just different. Are you afraid that I'll enjoy sex with someone else too much? Maybe. Or that after I have her, I'll never want you again? Maybe. Or maybe you're afraid that if I get her when I'm with you, I'll think about her? Hell yes, Maggie admitted reluctantly. I understand everything, okay? I see what you're trying to do. I thought we agreed to forget everything. Yes, but that was before I saw what she looked like and before I really thought about your proposal. Oh, so because you think you can seduce a hot girl, you suddenly think I can have sex with Stephen? Hell yes, I said enthusiastically. Why not? You're an ass, Maggie said. Wait, am I an ass because I want Janet? It was you who wanted to try someone else. I just agree with what you wanted. No, you're trying to destroy what I wanted. So you wanted to have fun with others, but you don't want me to do the same? You're just trying to confuse me. I told you it's not like that, Maggie said, on the verge of tears again. Maggie, calm down and let's discuss this like adults, I said, using her own words against her. I'm starting to understand that this could be good for us. I don't want to do this, Maggie said. You talked me out of it. I agreed that it was a mistake. This is a mistake. Let's forget about everything. Take your time. I found his number and started dialing Maggie on her phone. Let's call your lover and see what he says. No! Maggie screamed. Hang up! Don't call him! Shh, I said quietly, gesturing for my wife to shut up. It's okay, honey. The phone is already ringing. I put the phone on speaker so Maggie could hear both sides of the conversation. Maggie, I asked you not to call me at home. Hello, is this Stephen Archer? I asked, speaking clearly and slowly. There was a long pause, then a click, and the connection was broken. How strange, I said to my wife. We're disconnected. I'd better call you back. Maggie tried to pick up the phone. Please don't do this. Quiet, I said, putting the phone away. You might think that you don't want to do this anymore. I don't know. Hello, Stephen. This is Maggie's husband. Are you there? Yes, I'm here. What do you want? Stephen asked with obvious concern. Oh, is now the wrong time? I asked. What do you want? He repeated even more angrily. Well, I began. Maggie told me how you asked her to go on a date. There was silence on the other end of the line for several seconds. And what? He finally said. And I think that would be a great idea, I said. Maggie grabbed my hand and tried to interrupt me. I shushed her and continued. I mean, with certain parameters and agreements, of course. Parameters and agreements? Stephen asked, confused. Yes, I replied. I mean, if you're going to have fun with my wife, I want to make sure it's all out in the open. No secrets, right? Yes, perhaps, said Stephen. His voice didn't sound very confident. I mean, the last thing we want is to ruin a marriage with lies and deceit. I love Maggie and don't want to lose her. So I agreed as long as we all discuss everything openly and we all know what's going on. Cool? Yes, of course, Stephen answered. It makes sense. Maggie stared at me with her mouth open. When I looked at her, she shook her head and said, Baby, I don't want to do this. I shrugged it off dismissively. Great. I continued the conversation with Stephen. Then why don't you run after Janet and put it on speakerphone? What? Stephen asked in surprise. Why don't you call your wife? You know, Janet, the mother of your 2 daughters, Selena and Catherine, the woman you're in an open marriage with, so she can hear all the details. Listen, asshole, Stephen growled. I don't know what kind of game you're playing. I cut him off. Stephen, I'm not playing, I told him. Maggie told me that you and Janet are in an open marriage, and you don't care who has sex with whom. We looked at her bikini pictures on Facebook, and I have to say that I will enjoy sex with her while you make out with my wife. What are you doing? He asked shrilly. I will entertain Janet, your wife, and you will entertain Maggie, my wife. This is what they do in open marriage, right? Wife exchange. You son of a bitch, don't bring my wife into this, asked Stephen. Stephen, my boy, I said calmly. It's too late for that. You've spent the last few months seducing my wife. Wasn't Janet pregnant with Selena for most of this time? Congratulations on your birth. I bet Janet is already back to normal and ready for my proposal. Shut the fuck up, he shouted. I told you, don't bring Janet into this. Oh, wait. Are you saying she doesn't know you want to have sex with Maggie? Aren't you in an open marriage? I looked at Maggie. She covered her face with her hands and cried. I heard a woman's voice in the background. Honey, what happened? Who is this? Nobody. Everything is fine. Get the girls ready to leave. Stephen turned to his wife. Oh, yes, I began. Today is a big day. Catherine has a cheerleading tournament this afternoon. How the hell do you know this? He asked. It's amazing how much you can learn on Facebook. I chuckled. I have an idea. I waited for him to answer. Several seconds passed as he considered my words. What's an idea? He finally asked. Why don't Maggie and I meet you and Janet at the tournament? Then we can tell her all the details she missed. After that, we can go to the bar and have a few drinks, get to know each other, and come back here to party all night. I'll even let you and Maggie use the master bedroom. Stephen growled into the phone, then answered in a sharp whisper. Listen, stay away from my wife and my children. I'll kill you if I see you anywhere nearby. Stephen, I warned him, don't be so upset. You agreed that we will have no secrets and that everyone should know what we are doing, including Janet, right? Fuck you, he yelled. Never call me again. Okay, then I'll just call Janet, I quickly answered before he could hang up. Wait, Stephen barked. Where did you get her number? Steve, it doesn't matter, I told him. It's important that everyone knows what you did and what your intentions were towards my wife. There was another long pause, then. I want you to stay away from my wife. If I hear that you were in the same room with her, I will go to Janet and tell her everything you did. Understood? I understand, he answered humbly. We work together. I don't know if I can avoid her completely. Maggie will be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, I explained to him. When she returns, you will need to move to another company. You're a consultant. Just tell your bosses that one of the women has gotten too close to you, and for the good of the business, you should be transferred. I guarantee you they'll have you out of there by the time she gets back. What if I don't do this? He asked. I turned to my wife. Maggie, call Janet and tell her everything. She stared at me incredulously. Of course I was bluffing. I didn't have Janet's number, but Stephen didn't know that. I motioned for Maggie to play along. Okay, honey, she said through tears. Wait, Stephen shouted. Okay, I'll tell them about it tomorrow morning. Okay, I answered. You're not as stupid as Maggie said. And lastly, Maggie can hear you now. Apologize to my wife. I saw that Stephen was angry. He took a deep breath and said briefly, Sorry, Maggie. Before she could answer, I said, Don't ever mess with my wife again. Now I suggest you get ready to take your family to the cheerleading tournament. Good luck, Catherine. I hung up, threw the phone on the counter, and turned to Maggie. She stared at me with puppy dog eyes. I am so sorry, she began. I raised my hand to stop her. Tomorrow you will need to call your boss and tell him that you have an urgent family matter and need to take 2 weeks off, I instructed her. She lowered her eyes and nodded. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.